The notion that global warming is a satanic mission to undermine Jesus may seem like an outlandish and unsubstantiated claim, but to some, it is a deeply held conviction. This idea stems from a mix of biblical interpretations, conspiracy theories, and a dash of paranoia. Proponents of this claim often point to the perceived increase in natural disasters, extreme weather events, and environmental catastrophes as evidence of a sinister plot to disrupt God's plan for humanity. According to this line of thinking, Satan, as the ultimate adversary of God, seeks to undermine Jesus' teachings and the values of Christianity by manipulating the environment. By orchestrating global warming, Satan aims to bring about chaos, destruction, and despair, thereby distracting humans from their spiritual pursuits and turning them away from their faith. This, in turn, would supposedly fulfill biblical prophecies about the end times, where Satan would attempt to lead humanity astray before the second coming of Christ. Some proponents of this idea point to biblical passages that describe the end times as a period of great turmoil and environmental upheaval. For example, the book of Revelation contains vivid descriptions of natural disasters, such as earthquakes, famines, and droughts, which some interpret as signs of Satan's influence. They argue that global warming is a manifestation of these biblical prophecies, where Satan is using his powers to manipulate the environment and bring about the predicted catastrophes. However, this interpretation is not supported by the majority of Christian theologians and scholars, who argue that the Bible's descriptions of the end times are meant to be metaphorical and symbolic, rather than literal predictions of environmental disasters. Moreover, the concept of global warming as a satanic mission to undermine Jesus is not grounded in scientific reality. The overwhelming consensus among climate scientists is that global warming is a human-induced phenomenon caused by the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and other human activities that release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Furthermore, this idea also raises questions about the nature of God's sovereignty and the role of human agency in the world. If Satan is indeed capable of manipulating the environment on a global scale, does this not imply that God is either powerless or unwilling to intervene? And if humans are mere pawns in a grand cosmic struggle between good and evil, do we not have a responsibility to take action to mitigate the effects of global warming, rather than simply attributing it to a satanic plot? In addition, this narrative also ignores the very real and pressing issue of environmental degradation and its impact on human societies. Global warming is not just a theological or philosophical concept, but a tangible reality that affects people's lives, livelihoods, and well-being. By framing it as a satanic mission to undermine Jesus, we risk distracting ourselves from the urgent need to address the root causes of this crisis and work towards sustainable solutions. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a satanic mission to undermine Jesus may hold a certain appeal for some, it is a notion that is not supported by scientific evidence, biblical scholarship, or theological reasoning. It is a narrative that risks obscuring the very real and pressing issues of environmental degradation and human responsibility, and distracting us from the need to work towards a more sustainable and equitable future for all. By focusing on the real causes of global warming and working together to address this crisis, we can create a better world for ourselves and for future generations, rather than getting bogged down in unsubstantiated conspiracy theories and theological speculations.